At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
Week 4, day 2, you know what that means. It means we just reached the second half of the split. So from now on, it's the revenge times for all the teams that lost. And for the other teams, they have to step up if they want to take lead in this league. We're talking about NLC. We actually have no idea who will be first at the end of the day, because somehow we might end up with another 5-way tie between teams. To talk about this and much more, let's introduce the desk. We have the return of Initialize, but also the first appearance of Rev. How are you doing, Rev?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I've been longing to come over here, and finally you let me out of my cage, and I've been doing just fine. I'm here to like.
Just to clear this up, I didn't have Rev in a cage.
It's a hypothetical
he was
cage,
quoting
okay?
Mr. Brightside in fairness. He was looking on the bright side, so it's mostly fine. There was like a pop culture reference wrapped up in there. But also Archeron is keeping us all in cages. Please help us escape.
There's no escape. Talking about that, another cage. It's the casters. Well, I don't have two webcams, so I might as well slap them in together. Welcome to the show. Wait, Rududen, who's that? No, Rududen, you can't do that.
My eyes are down here, bro. My eyes are down here.
He made his
I've had
choice.
a haircut, and apparently that's really interesting, bro. But I don't know.
Apparently we weren't going to address it. Immediately, the first words out of his mouth, guys. The first words out of his mouth, I've had a haircut.
We didn't talk about that middle cut, okay? We were talking about the show. It's not about... Do you know who's Nikolaos Copernicus? Do you know middle cut?
He was the guy with the telescope.
Yeah, it was an astronomer who discovered that the Earth revolves around the sun and not you, mate. Let's toss it back to the desk.
Ow!
Oh, that's a burn. That's gonna hurt.
That's like how to get middle cut excommunicated. That's Galileo levels of burning. Jesus,
I love
that's
you, middle
rough.
cut. I love you, middle cut.
I mean, I hope you at least gave him some, like, you know, sun lotion, because he's already burned.
So,
That
today's
was quite
an interesting
cruel.
day. Oh boy. I was going to give you some time to introduce yourself, Rev, but I think it's done. Let's
I'm
talk
engaged,
about
man.
something else. Everybody back at home, it's your chance to be part of the league. How so? Not by being a guest just like Rev, but also by participating on the Fantasy League. So head on to Twitter, sign up as fast as possible, because you're losing valuable points. And by losing valuable points, it means you're staying away from these rewards, these prizes. We're talking about a SteelSeries Apex Pro Tiki Ale, SteelSeries Nova 7 as the first prize, then jumping into a Nova 7 as the second one, and then Middlecut's mouse, SteelSeries Aerox 5. So it's up to you to join the Fantasy League and get these prizes. We always have something like, hey, these are the players that are on top of the week, but since this is the second day of the week, we're not going to show you. So it's up to you to join the Fantasy League. Initialize, you're playing the league, aren't you?
I am. I was actually checking out what my points are at right now. It's like I'm doing okay. I'm slightly above average in the tournaments. I'm rank number 111, which is okay. I'm 319 points, and the average is 370. So I've done all right.
It's kind of like your predictions, right? It's almost like
I
the
got
same.
3 perfect days currently.
Oh.
So I'm tied with Veteran for first currently.
He knows. He knows his stuff. So let's show for today's predictions. I'm interested to see if there's anything that should pop up. I took a peek at Twitter, by the way, on predictions, and I realized there's not a big difference. Aside from the guests and Foxdrop. Yeah, interesting. Guests, defend yourself.
I mean, I've been approached by Lightside on Twitter. They've been doubting me a little bit, and I look at them. They have my boy Elijah on top. I've talked to him like last played. He has a huge rise up from the GL2D, the second division in Greece, to here. Fruity Fresh, he's been both fresh and fruity with host picks, and you know what? I think that they can strike back right now. I think with the league being so volatile, it's the perfect time to strike. But I'll be honest. I did keep myself back, only 1 point thrown over there. So I'm just, you know, minimizing my losses if I was taken away from their Twitter banter.
Yeah, I agree because this is a tough game. I like how everybody's on this kind of the same page, but I think we might get a few surprises here and there on today's match. Like this is an interesting one.
Yeah, I think inevitably we will do. There's almost too much volatility to say that there won't be at some point. I think the likes of Lightside, as you noticed, are a good team. I think they had an unfortunate couple games, but that doesn't mean they can't return the favour. And while there is that slight split away from them, they're only one game off the leaders of the pack right now, and I think they're more than capable, particularly if they continue to improve, to step up and challenge them. And you're also looking at teams like Natives, Nord as well, and all of them have shown good stuff, even if particularly Verdant Natives, it's the completeness of a game. I think that they're somewhat lacking. They've been struggling to have like all parts of their team comps, all parts of their game kind of functioning at once, and that's hurt them over in terms of winning enough games, but I still think they're more than capable enough of making a lot of our teams sweat here, bluntly.
So take care in today's games. It's going to be an interesting one, but also since we reached the end of the first half and we're now approaching the second half, which is an interesting one because now they have to face off again. You know how the team works. You had more than enough time to build up some strategy or even play style. So it's up to you to showcase who you are and then head on to EMEA Masters in the top of the mountain of the Northern League of Legends Championship. These are the standings as we are at the beginning of the day. Venomcrest, DMG, and Ruddy are at the top of the standings. Nord, LLS are on 4th place, and then you follow with Verdant, Natives, and Blue Eyes still waiting for their first victory. We were told by them that this week would be a surprise. Yesterday it wasn't, so it's up to them to showcase who they are, with Custom now joining the fray as well. Now looking into the top 3, Venomcrest, DMG, and Ruddy. I know there's only a game between the difference between Nord and LLS for their first place, but I would like to hit on all 3 of these teams and understand why they are where they are and how they play and what brought them into this place as possible. So Desk, if possible, let's start with Venomcrest, since they are the first ones. I don't know why, but they're the first ones, so at least let's start with the Snake and understand how they were able to skedaddle it this way into the first place.
Yeah, I think I'll start on this one because I've actually got some thoughts on Venomcrest in general. And for me, they have been a team that, once again, despite changing up members, have come in once more with a really defined idea about how they want to play the game, whatever the draft is, and that cohesion they had in spring, despite player change, is still really there. And a couple members for me really stick out on that front. Lenny, still a really good sort of pseudo weak side top laner with abilities to pull out things like the Camille, the TF, the Zac, where you need something a bit spicy, but is so consistent. But that consistency allows the other member of the team that I go, yeah, this guy's got it, namely Lindgard, who was doing Herculean amounts of work down on that bot lane. Is it something like nearly 32% damage share, which of course AD carries are generally towards the higher end of damage share, but you're looking more like 25, 26 if you're a really solid AD carry. 32% is a seriously crazy number, and he's doing that much like a player like Fruity Fresh, with picks like Brand, with picks like Ziggs, the Quay kind of coming out as well. Very flexible in terms of what he's allowing the team to draft as well, which is huge for Venomcrest because they are a team that often comes in with very distinctive drafts that they are very comfortable piloting as a unit.
Rev, when you look into Venomcrest, I also want to take your intake on this team. We understood like how they play individually, but what is your takeaway in like the global aspect of the team?
Well, I wanna actually highlight what initially I said in the beginning, that they have a very distinct idea of what they want to do, and if you look at their picks, it's very clear cut and forward. Okay, so you're having a bulky front line, maybe just an engage from Lenny, because even the TF has that point and click engage with a gold card from a long range as well, a supportive kind of jungler, and double carry combo from mid and the marksman position. Of course, sometimes they do swap all the AD and the AP, and simply again on an engaged champion. So they know exactly what they want to do. They have that one playstyle, and that gives them a lot more practice on that playstyle. So you don't have to practice a lot of things, you just find one thing, you own it, and you become the best of it. Are they the best at it? Not really, but they are getting there. They've been punished very little, and they almost got punished yesterday as well. So all of those games that they actually scrap out a win are more learning opportunities for them to hone that playstyle more and more. at least until we get into the best ofs, because then you can kind of read into that playstyle, prepare versus Venom Crest, and be able to punish them. But until then, I think that this is a very solid choice for them to secure the EMEA Masters slot.
And I like the way you bring up that they have a plan and they know how to execute them, specifically because they never lost a game once they were ahead at 15 minutes. And also they never lost a game playing on the blue side. They're going to be playing blue side today as well. So that's really interesting. They bring up the plan, they're like, hey, we're really good and efficient at this, and nobody can stop us. My question to you, to both of you, and start whoever wants to, is this like a mirror from Spring Split, where they're like a one-trick pony, or there's a big difference? Because once they found out how Venom Crest worked in Spring Split, it was done. Do you believe the same can happen on Summer?
So I think I disagree in the sense that the style they play is more universal, whereas the style in Spring, let me kind of explain that. The style in Spring was they would do things like very heavy engage from the jungle, which could brawl-ish in terms of things like the Viego, but it'd be paired up with things like the Pike, and it was all about resets, early skirmishing, early snowball, and they were really good at it, but the win condition was a lot narrower. They needed to get that Pike rolling, that Viego rolling, getting the goldies, and they were fantastic at doing that. But if teams would start like really banning that out, they didn't have as many options. The style they're playing at the minute is pretty universal. It is maybe a little bit of something weird from the top lane, but generally speaking, supportive jungler, like an Ivern if you want something really weird, but it's a supportive engaged jungler with double carry, arguably with an AP carry pot lane so you can get that magic damage in somewhere, which is again, kind of that additional bit of spice, and then an engaged support. Double carry, front line, additional top lane counter pick / tank. That's very standard League of Legends. There's nothing in there that is super, on paper at least, that crazy, even if one or two of those pieces get adjusted around to add in magic damage bot lane or something weird like an Ivern.
Love it. So we got an identity already figured out from Venom Crest, but what about DMG? This is the team that, in my opinion, is quite interesting to follow due to the fact that you have a lot of stars. And everybody can be a star on this team. If someone falls, another person will rise and take their place on that match. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, you were hyping up Bucci for me in the green room. His Renekton seems to be all the hype. He's one to play Gragas. I know for a fact that they are the only team to make Senna work right now, and I really love the fact that they're not just focusing on the Nautilus for the farming partner. They can go Subterranean. That shows to me that they can actually play more things, maybe the Ore, maybe some Wukong, bring up the old spice with the Senna bottom lane. And once again, this also frees up a lot of things in the draft because they have been getting Senna bans from the enemy team. They have been getting Hwei bans from the enemy team, which is not what you usually see. Especially, especially when you play from the blue side, usually. Then suddenly you have all of those free picks, like the Skarner maybe, like the Rumble, all of those picks that are still universally considered a must ban from the red side. Plus the fact that everyone can carry when they're a good day makes them maybe the most versatile team in the NLC. And so far so good, because that means that you cannot really read into them and just with a day's worth of practice make sure that you know what you're gonna play against and how to counter them. But on the other hand, you know how to say jack of all trades, master of none. That's the only thing that kind of worries me, that if they diversify the play by too much, maybe they don't know exactly the limits and how to execute greatly any one of those plays.
Yeah, I think I also want to highlight a player like Bitset as well, who I think has really shone when he's not been on those kind of AP farming junglers that have really risen in priority. The Jarvan game against Ruddy in particular was absolutely foul. That was practically illegal to stream. It was ridiculous. He could do no wrong. Every engage was the best thing you've ever seen. He would like flag and drag bot to have a double teleport on the flag to go down bot lane. I think that's the other thing that really stands out for me is how ready and willing the solo laners have been to join up with the jungle to make those kind of really snap counterplays or those really snappy engages with the teleport angles as well. That's made their mid game very, very dangerous, and I think at ERL level in particular, where sometimes the teleport plays can be mixed, shall we say. They've been some of the best at that as well, and credit out to Scatterod and Bucci linking up with the other members of the team to make that happen. It's been a while since I've seen the Jarvan flag used as a teleport location. It's spot on stuff.
It's sort of the fairy tale as well, don't you agree? Because you're going from 0 to hero, from 0 spring split into hero on the summer split. It's such a big difference, like revamping the entire team. And keep in mind that one of the games they lost 2. One of them, they had a sub. And then Bucci came back and they were like, oh, by the way, I can play Renekton. And he solo carried. So this is an interesting take as well. Keep in mind they lost the game with the sub. And they're still tied up for first place. Now, the last remaining team that is also from 0 to hero, but they were the heroes of Spring Split. And supposedly they should be the heroes of Summer Split. And they're still the heroes. It is RUD. We talked about them. And now, you know, bloodbath team this is. But it's interesting to look into this, and they revamped as well, and they're so powerful. But can they play from behind, though?
It looks like they can't. I really like that having solo queue-esque for teams like RUD, because they tend to have the most fun. Do they play with the most structure? From an outside perspective, certainly not. But the lack of structure can be some sort of structure by itself, because you are making the battlefield into a chaos field. You're actually forcing the enemy to play into your own chaotic tempo, and not everyone can adjust to that tempo. Now, you know that you have Alex, you have Hitroken, who can just go in head first and execute all those skirmishes perfectly, even while flipping at all times. But the enemy teams maybe cannot. The enemy teams maybe need to have a proper structure, need to take it step at a time, never skip anything, and that could be their downfall, because as with anything gruddy, they actually blossom when there's anarchy and when there's just content, even if it is just banger games or just forcing the enemy to do stupid things on the Rift.
And to an extent, you're right. But I will say there is another side to the RUD coin, which is they are probably the best team in the league at facilitating some of their solo laners to really get value out of a wide map state. Partly because Kiturikan has been the AP farming jungler. He's played nothing but carries that build fated ashes in the jungle. Was it 3 games of Rumble, 2 of Karthus, 1 of Taliyah, 1 of Brand? And part of the reason they snowball so heavily and they don't often have to play from behind, because with a lot of the champions and comps they are playing, if they are behind early with things like the AP junglers, it's all about gathering resources, then of course it's going to look bad, because like, okay, well, my Brand is behind the game. That's not great. Or those kind of things. And then they tend to take that and play it so you can jump forward on the Yoni, and there's a Karthus ult coming down on top of it. And so that side lane 2v2 is suddenly a 3v2. And for all it is chaotic, and RUD are certainly not shy to pull the trigger, they have gotten, at their best anyway, very good at pulling the trigger in a way that is very difficult to respond to, because their cross maps, their abilities to play to those side lanes and those wider map states is probably among the best in the league, at their best.
I agree. There's always like a positive and negative, and they're like, well, they serve for both of them really hard. It's like either we go really positive or we crash and burn. Talking about that, let's look into the first game, because it's specifically RUD versus Blue Whites, a team that is searching for their first victory. The first time they met, well, it was kind of complicated between RUD and Blue Whites. It was the showcase of RUD as well, but that was the lane, or at least a face-to-face, that highlighted to me, and this is interesting because on one side you had Nata, on the other side MKR, and I believe for Blue Whites, this is the gentleman that is keeping the boat moving forward.
Is it moving forward though? That's my big question.
It's
because
moving.
Yes, you have all those numbers, you have all those statistics, you may even have the eye test with your side, but in the end of the day, an L is an L. And if you cannot have any advantage that you create from the bottom lane transition towards any other way, or you play your mind off with Jinx or with us and then you still can carry, it sort of falls on you as well. Yes, the team cannot facilitate you, but you can't carry yourself. So I may come off as a negative Nancy, and to be honest, I am. But I think it goes both ways. So your team should help you to carry when you're the one shining star of your team, but you should always help your team as well. And there's some sort of broken connection there in the Finnish squad where they can start the engine, but I think that they cannot get the boat moving.
Yeah, and obviously the other thing that's this graph doesn't really show a lot of is obviously the things that you'll notice for Nata in particular. 9th in terms of KDS, I mean, he's realistically the worst in the league. You're looking at the damage percentage as well, way down the bottom. But if you look at those numbers by themselves, they're going to tell you that this guy's not great. But the moment you start interrogating it, what you'll realize is that's partly just how RUD play. I've just talked about it earlier. They play the map very wide. They don't play really team fights until a lot later on, once people have gotten solo kills or 2v2 kills, and then they're snowballing ahead and fighting in the enemy jungle, not necessarily around objectives as consistently. They aren't necessarily content to wait for the 5v5s. They like to play it a bit wider. So Nata is often left to his own devices a bit. He's not often the main star, even if he has often got quite a wide champion pool, the ability to pull out a Vayne and take it away from Built. I saw him and Built and Surti chatting in the NLC Twitch chat last night about the fact that their AD carry had stolen away the top lane pick, which says a lot about what Vayne is right these days, but there we go. And as a result, sometimes I think Nata ends up being less of the core part of Ruddy, as a lot of AD carries have been in NLC. We are into picks and bans, and maybe we can leave that discussion for the casters.
Can I just state that, damage percentage in Ruddy is such a fake stat.
Exactly.
When everyone's playing counters. Like, you can have 1500 DPM and you can be the third damage in your team. So yeah, it's a fake stat.
Alex exists, so that alone
so
is
does Katurika,
something.
who's playing Karthus. Inevitably, the damage is
It's
going to be
not
wild.
fair. And Nata has improved a lot, in my opinion. Ever since the beginning of the split, he has improved a lot, tremendously. So that is also something we need to highlight. Well, that Rumble is specifically targeted Built because when they matched each other, Veluxa got destroyed by that pick specifically. So that's another one I want to take into consideration. The top side Built is on a revenge path. He said it himself on the interview, and Veluxa needs to step up. But now you have Costume in the mid lane versus Alex.
Yeah, and the other thing that Ruddy have for them is a couple pocket picks that people feel like they have to deal with or need to have an answer to. The Zac and the Karthus are like nearly permanently banned against Ruddy because a few times they've got them. Katurikan's run kids over with the Karthus. It's not been close. It has been the older brother holding their hand out and preventing their little brother hitting them. It's ridiculous. And Alaric and Built both play the Zac, so that flex option has been really difficult to manage. So Blue Whites will lock in the Jinx. It's for MKO. We're chatting him out. He's been the backbone. But because of some of those very pocket pick bans that Blue Whites feel forced into, Ruddy is still getting some pretty nice picks. The Talia's a flex. Katurikan plays it super well, of course. You're getting a Rel, which is pretty high value as well, even if I feel like the Leona has largely been slightly higher up the priority list in general in esports, but it's still something that Alaric is very, very comfortable.
And I don't really think that at least for Ruddy, Talia is that much of a flex. I think it will go towards the hands of Kiturok and Alex.
Yeah, we're expecting that. Yeah.
Really enjoys all those AD picks, and it's the flip of the month, right? AP jungler, AD mid laner with all the Tristanas, Lucian, Jaycees again showing their faces. I would expect a lot more Maokai, especially since Maokai right now can build Faded Ashes. The build that indicates that you go first for the early entries, then go full tank, so it kind of cheats the system. You can play support for your team, still play AP if you wanna influence Kitoroken into picking that, but I still feel like it's very nice with an AD mid laner. However, it's very hard to play all those melee carries like the Yone with a Sejuani and a Poppy from the enemy team.
Yeah, the Poppy in particular can be pretty annoying for the Rel and potentially this Kai'Sa to manage as well. And we know how Ruddy does like to play, and it often is with kind of quite aggressive, high mobility carries that are enabled by an AP jungler that can impact the game from either pressing R button somewhere else in the jungle or joining the play very rapidly, like the Talia. So this all makes sense, but I do like the fact that Blue Whites have got some ways to keep that Jinx safe. And I know a couple weeks ago he's saying, look, how are NLC teams managing the Jinx? Because at the minute it feels like she's getting free compositions to be quite safe in and do a lot of damage from. Like some Xtrox, Namex doing serious work on that. Feels like Blue Whites are trying to cultivate a comp like that. But Talia from Katurikan, if you can find a good angle, the Kai'Sa and the Rel similarly have got ways to access that Jinx. So bringing back that question that Blue Whites are posing, I feel like Ruddy are at least trying to answer as we are getting through that second phase of bans. A couple of those AD mid laners on the other side, getting rid of that Hui, and of course the Renekton and the Veluxa often likes to default.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You may ban Zed and the Corki, but Yone is still available. You can't ban away Alex. It's impossible to do so. He will go for that hard carry every single time. It's still not locked in, but he's just fancying it and showcasing that even if I don't pick this, I can still pull it off. And there you go. This is a menacing team. You're pulling the brother versus Alex?
Not a great matchup individually. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
like-
about that one. Yone tends to beat out his younger brother, generally speaking.
Not
As
real.
usual,
Mount
you know.
fight.
The
I honestly
usual.
don't hate that. It's just like a really easy go button. That'll probably be okay. You're into a fair amount of people you can stack armor against, but they're moving away from that. So Syndra, I think they need some magic damage somewhere. They will decide to go for the Syndra. Can be a little scary if you misuse your Scout of the Week, because then you've got a lot of people who pounce on you with very little remorse.
Yeah, I think it's like the Yone right here is both a curse and a blessing for the side of RUD, because they do have the tools now to reach the Jinx, but it's double-sided dagger. If you miss your ultimate, then you're kind of doomed in that team fight. You can never reach there. I would really like to see from Ruddy some long-range engage, maybe a Known, which can also be a huge menace for both the Syndra and the Jinx, both long range, immobile carries, both set up. You can set up for a Kai'Sa to just initiate a deep dive into the enemy backline. Now, for the side of blue-whites, it is honestly quite a boring composition. You do have ways to protect. Oh,
Is
wait.
that locked? Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah,
for those who
yeah.
don't know, Built is a Riven one-trick, and it was regularly banned against him. Occasionally it gets through, and now in this game, what we have is two very, very aggressive duelist AD solo laners with the ability for a Kai'Sa, Rell, and Taliyah, particularly the Kai'Sa and Taliyah, to press R and suddenly make any side lane a 3v1. And you've got a Gnar who's okay in side lane, but if your Mega Gnar bar is poorly managed, so we say, we've seen them punished. And Syndra as well has kind of fallen away a little bit recently, because it does feel like it's not been that easy for her to side lane, I think.
I mean,
This is a rough one for Blue Whites.
it is, because
This is
they
the-
need to make sure that the game is not blown wide open. The moment any one of those lanes for Ruddy starts to snowball, the game is kinda unplayable for you. The Riven, you can deal with her 1v1. The Yone, the same. The Kai'Sa, we've all seen Kai'Sa's carry game from just having like 2 kills in their pockets and building those 2-3 item spikes earlier than usual. So at any point, any lane from the side of Ruddy gets a lead, it's going to become very, very hard from blue-white to get back into the game. However, if they manage to play it slow and steady, they do have the tools to shut down anyone. Kai'Sa's ultimate, it's a dash. The Rell, her engage is a dash. Taliyah has a dash, the Yone has a dash, and of course Riven is a dash by herself, so the Poppy can actually shut down everyone
Huge
with just
value, yeah.
one spell.
But in order to do that, you can't give a big lead into Ruddy, and we know how they play with that lead, but also, how are they going to play in the second half of the split? Might as well toss it to the casters. I'm just going to say it. Rudu take it away, and an intelligent man is there as well. Middle cards.
Whoa! Oh my! Oh!
I'll just leave, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, this is a good day. No, you don't understand. You don't understand. What I've realised is the bandana.
Yeah.
It meant that Archon wasn't taking me seriously. As soon as I've grown up, I've cut my hair,
Yeah.
shaved a little mustache as well. I'm getting the glazing. That's what it's all about.
No, you know what? You've been earning respect from the NLC team, and now by transitive properties, I have to lose respect. I'm guessing is the answer. So, Arshram, I respect the fact that you've gone for it. However, this will not go unretaliated against.
God,
You'll be
fighting words. Well, hopefully we're going to be getting a fair bit of fighting in this game. I think that Blue Whites and Ruddy, both two of our slightly more aggressive teams, and it's really worked out kind of in opposite fortunes for them over the first round robin. Ruddy obviously tied for first. Blue Whites still searching for that ever so elusive first win. But we've got a Riven in this game, Rude Dude.
Yes, we do indeed. To find out quite how it gets on, we better get onto the Rift and have a look.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Hi.
For the... well, you're already here, so we didn't need to welcome you. But everyone else,
Oh.
welcome to Summoner's
Everyone
Rift
say hi.
for the first game
Yes.
of the second round robin. And before we disappear for that very funky intro, we were talking a little bit about the Riven. Built contract-mandated single rhythm game per split. He played it in spring. Didn't go too well for him, though.
No, if we harken our minds back to spring of 2024, Built got one game. It was up against Bucci. And honestly, in the laning phase and through the mid game, it was underwhelming. However, Built was able to get to 3 items and played a late game Riven as opposed to a 1v1 versus a Gnar on Riven. And at that stage, Built, the expertise, the prowess, it shone through. Was definitely very important to the Ruddy win in that game because Ruddy were able to take the win in that one, and Built was a key part of it, finding really good engages as we got later. All that to say, it was definitely difficult to begin with.
Yeah, pairing it with Kitrukin now for a bit of an invade onto Veloxa, who is taking a whole heaping of damage, flashes away, and Built not getting overhyped. We'll take the summoner spell and
middle copy real. Do you flash that wall on auto for Veloxa if that's you?
I mean, I do every single time, but Built is a little bit better than me, and that's 2 flashes in the first 2 minutes, burnt by the Ruddy top laner.
Riven diff. I don't know what to say. Just pairing up nicely with Kitrukin, and now this is going to be a complete topside trio collapsed for Ruddy, stealing away the entire topside if they so desire. Options for the Tillia to skip out on the Gromp, make sure that they're making their time efficient, being able to get around the rest of their own jungle as well. And obviously, if you can get a 3-camp start, there's absolutely no reason not to.
I think the sort of dagger from this play for Blue White is that you're delaying what Yones is able to do, right?
No.
Not even able to finish up his red buff, and that's a real shame for this squad, because I think if we're looking at players that have been standouts, that have been consistent in some of the higher level performances, Jonas is right at the top of the list.
Yeah, Costum came in with a pop-off LeBlanc game last week, but since then the performance has not quite been as high a level as maybe Blue Whites might have liked. Jonas, though, as you mentioned, consistently one of, if not the best performing member on this Blue Whites roster, so setting the Sejuani behind is going to be really felt by Blue Whites.
Yeah, he is eventually going to be able to get a camp, though. I am assured. And with the jungler incapacitated, it's Eget who is going to get to ganking duty, roaming on the poppy, getting the stun onto Alex, and it's first blood for the team from Finland.
Perfect! Gank into the mid lane, slams Alex into the wall, first blood for the poppy, hail of blades, ignite, lovely engage early on. TP used from Alex to get him back into the mid lane, so the experience isn't going to be too bad. Going to be quite easily picked up, not something to be missing out on. Well, that's what you love to see. Like you mentioned, jungler down, hey, I will take up the mantle.
And if we're talking about Jonas as probably the most consistent member of Blue Whites, Eget has been... X Factor is perhaps too strong a word, but he's been willing to incorporate chaos into the game, as bot lane is not going too well for Blue Whites. MKR not quite going to burn down to that ignite, but heavily pressured away, and Alex maybe even looking for something here. The Chompers flashed over, and a kill secured for Ruddy.
Yeah, just a quick snapshot of how far Alex was able to gap close on the Yone there. He was on the other side of the Drake wall, and the Jinx died between the 2 turrets, so you tell me which champion has balanced mobility between the 2 of them. Nevertheless, a great collapse from Alex, as he's only missed 2 melee minions going for that. Roman has found himself a quick kill as well. So able to find a little bit of a reprieve, maybe a little bit of vengeance down into the bot side as well.
Yeah, and a consequence of that early jungle bullying that we saw come out from Ruddy is what's occurring on the minimap in the sort of little picture down there. Kitrukin has been able to clear through his bot side and is now pathing towards his top, where all the camps are available. Jonas has done everything that he can, and now he's looking for a little bit of something potentially in the enemy jungle to grab something back, although Alaric going for a roam of his own. Veloxa still without the flash from the level 1, stunned, combo down, and it's a kill for Built.
Roam timer from Alaric, very straightforward, very simple, but sometimes simple is just as effective. Goes back to base after a bot kill, walks straight to the top side. Look at the wave down on that bot side. Doesn't look like Nato is missing out on too much, as the Jinx will be able to push that wave on in after the bounce, and even showing face in mid lane just a little bit as well. Wonderful timer, just the basics from Alaric, just on point.
Yeah, looks at Egets and goes, anything you can do, I could do a little bit better. Both supports getting involved, and we're already starting to see some leads emerge. Built, perhaps remembering the last time that he was allowed to play Riven versus Inara, and is doing a lot better this time around. Has got that kill and has built a bit of a CS lead for himself too.
Absolutely, and given a decent early start as well, just forcing the flash of both the laner and the jungler means that you can typically act a little safer as the Riven for the early stages of the game. But Built, if they get to that later game stage that we anticipated and that we highlighted was their stronger suit, if they get there sooner, you can only be scared for Blue Whites. Obviously, coming into this game, before the draft, Blue Whites definitely the underdogs coming into this. Expectations are that Ruddy are just going to win this game and it won't really be too much of a challenge, but any form of put up or shut up that Blue Whites are looking for, going to have to come from Yonez, and that was really difficult given they'd already been set behind.
Alaric here on another own. Customers relatively low on mana. Flash over the wall into the stun, into absolutely everything. Easy as you like. Alex snaps back, and Custom snaps back to reality as he goes back to the fountain.
Very important timer once again from Alaric. Flashing over, not even using the Hex Flash, just knows that if he lands on the initial CC that the kill is secured. Brutal layering as well, you'll notice Custom still has Flash, didn't get a chance to use it because he knew as soon as all the CC had elapsed, he was already dead. Great work from Ruddy, and Alaric in particular, moving around the map, has now found kills in all 3 lanes.
First dragon picked up by Kit Ruken a little bit earlier, and now Yonez going for a trade onto at least one of these grubs. No one from Ruddy really in a position to contest him, but they do know it's happening. It is on vision, and Kit Ruken is pathing towards the top side.
Do you think that the junglers took like an oath with one another to go on ganking strike this game?
He gets potentially under threat here, gets the shove back onto Alaric, but cost him about 85% of his health bar. I don't think that's a worth trade.
No, probably not, to be honest with you, Miguel. I personally would not take that trade if I had the choice of doing so. But he gets, as you mentioned, one of the more volatile players, I think is a word I'd go to use. MKR in trouble.
This is not looking good for Blue Whites, and I was...
Still has ulti.
Oh my word, Nata just diving under the tower, takes a couple of hits, and MKR might be able to secure a kill here. No summoners on Nata, no life for Nata as he gets flashes over and will gladly sacrifice himself for the W.
Okay, the important part about all of this is that the wave is really bad for Ruddy's bot lane, so MKR here getting some much needed assistance. Built spotted by the sweeper there, 2 versus 2 top.
Stun going down onto the Riven. Kit Ruken going to be able to throw out the pebbles, but gets slayed before he can do anything. Builters uses ultimate as well, but Custom is roaming over, and this is not looking good for Ruddy.
Okay.
That's 2 kills in the skirmish for Blue Whites. Alex has to snap back, gets the ult onto Zedrani, but knocked away by Egates, but not before he gets the kill. It's chaos, it's madness, it's 5 kills to 5, and Blue Whites are giving as good as they get. MKR not quite able to dodge away from the stun, will get chased down in the bot lane. Nata with blood on his hands.
Other than the overstep, just 1 step too far from NKR. A beautiful sequence of plays from Blue Whites gets them right back into this game. Kills onto all of the important targets. No! There's 3 kills on Poppy! Little bit of a disaster there, but your Syndra got to Luden's companion. The Gnar picked up one of the kills as well, so Volux are not feeling the worst in the world. Either way, the big win is that you're denying time on the map, you're denying that experience. As Built's not quite got the all-in for Veluxa as he tries to crash this wave.
And this is one of the sketchy things sometimes about playing Riven into these range matchups. If you can get on top of them, then you just absolutely destroy them. But I think Gnar has just become such a staple in pro play over the years because of his ability to kite out these melee top laners in that form. And even if you've got 4 dashes in your kit, sometimes it can't be enough.
You see Yonez sniffing around on the spot side here. He's going to be the one to spoil the party. Alaric and Kit Uraken both here.
TP is going to get pulled off as well, and Blue Whites are responding to the play coming out from Ruddy. MKR already taken incredibly low, but Yonez is able to tank up in the front side. Stun dropping down onto Alex, 60% HP on the Ruddy mid laner, and a good response from Blue Whites to dissuade the aggressive play in bot lane.
So importantly, that's a TP advantage for Ruddy generated. Custom used the teleport there to make their way down and try and prevent a play from going on. Successfully so, but Alex the one who keeps theirs.
Oh, every time we pan down to this bot line, it's Blue Whites under pressure. The Chompers crucial in keeping Egates alive, and MKR might be looking for a little bit of a turnaround. The super mega death rocket not quite hitting its target.
Yeah, that's a double kill, by the way. If that connects, the get excited means that you can chase down or at the very least try and force some more spells out of Nata, but MK are not quite able to connect on it. Nice little juking from Alaric keeps himself safe as he gets a little bit unsure of where they were backing, thought about the gamble and decided, hey, you know what, we'll take it.
I love this player.
Yeah?
I absolutely love this player.
What did you say? X Factor? That's the X Factor we didn't want to see.
I'm thinking Y Factor, you know, like, why have you just done that?
Okay, you know what, fair enough. It's definitely not the best use of a Poppy ultimate. I think that's the best way of phrasing it. However, we're going to see some more.
Yeah, I think might need to hold that point as Alaric's roving over. He has been absolutely all over the map. But you're right? It's not the best way to use the Poppy ultimate, but really, what we're going to be complaining about is if he's messing that up in the big team fights, and Alaric has messed up here. Flashes, but still gets hit by the stun, and Blue-Whites have swapped their bot lane up to top side, hunting for these grubs, and with Alaric off the board, they might be able to pick up a clean sweep of these.
Yeah, I think they've caught all three of them, to be honest. They came out hunting and they've caught exactly what they were after. Nets are out and everything. Nice move from Blue-Whites. Find a kill. Taboo. Wasn't ever going to be matched by Nata, but now you've got a Jinx versus a Riven, a little bit tricky for the Jinx, and they do need to give a little bit of support over as now Built and Kit and they want to try and stop this final grub.
Yeah, Custom was on reset, doesn't have that teleport to join this potentially, but still Blue-Whites are able to pick up all 6 of the grubs, and he gets, looks like he will give his life for that play. Ultimate invested by Alex, they're able to get the kill, but traded over Kit Rukan falling down, and honestly, I was getting a little bit lost in the source, but the longer this game goes on, the more I feel like Blue-Whites are actually matching Ruddy in some aspects and straight up beating them in others.
And as much as Ruddy come into this as the heavy favourites, I feel like it would be very on brand for them to lose to the 07 team. The team yet to find their first victory, but just not quite able to finish off the game. Wouldn't surprise me. We've seen Blue-Whites actually find these slight wins in team fights. We've seen them have good skirmishes. There's definitely hope in their early stages of the game. Their pitfalls, their faults come from when they're pushed, when they're pressed later on in how to play the map. If they lose out on those trades, that's when they start to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Custom's first game coming into this roster, right? Put up really good numbers on the Blanc. Blue-Whites had a significant lead, but they weren't able to close the game out. They weren't able to get that W. I feel like this team has had so many false dawns where we thought they were turning the corner, but fundamentally weren't able to do it. But they have been improving week on week. Yes, it's a slight lead for Ruddy in terms of the gold department, but if any member of Blue-Whites honestly is left alone with the tower for a significant period of time, those 6 scrubs are going to do massive amounts of work to get that tower down and get them a map advantage.
Question then becomes, how easy does it become for them to play those side lanes well? The Syndra should never be bullying the Yone in the side lane. That should always be Alex winning out in that 1 versus 1. And Bill, we're expecting him on the Riven to be bullying around Veloxa as well as Alex hops forward, hops back near instantly. Alaric just zoning away Blue-Whites from this Dragon, and Ruddy take themselves their second of the game. It high rolled into an Infernal, so definitely a Drake that these teams are going to be wanting to fight for.
Oh yeah, like I'm thinking about, there's no point listing all the champions off because they're all disgusting with that. Soul Custom flashing away, patient, waiting for the key CC to be channeled by Kit Rukan, and boom, the summoner spell to get away. Ruddy now investing a little bit of time into getting control of this top side jungle. Veloxa potentially caught out here by Bill, isn't able to catch the boomerang, so that is on a pretty significant cooldown at this point. And whilst the top side objectives for the first 14 minutes were all Blue-Whites, it looks like Ruddy's going to grab the Herald.
Yeah, but look at the bot side of the map. Looks like MKR is going to be able to link up with his support, grab that first brick.
What are you doing? You are just going under the tower, clutches away from Yones. Going to drop down for this one in the end. That was a spicy play coming out of the Ruddy bot lane.
Hey, you know what? I'm there for it, to be honest. Diving enemy mid underneath their tier 1 sends a bit of a message. Also, Alex down on this bot side, winning out 2 versus 1. Now he's got support.
TP. Oh, here comes Built. There goes the hammer. Whiffs. Barely clips Built. The double ultimate. The fate is sealed by Alex as he gets 2 on the bottom side of Summoner's Rift.
Alaric there as a mere cheerleader. The solo laners for Ruddy step up huge. TP from Built comes down and a double kill for the Yone. They put a stop to the siege in the bot side. No cross-map for Blue-Whites today, as they stop the tier 1 in the bot lane falling from their own, and Bilt's even going to be able to claim first brick himself.
And it's feeling like a Blue-Whites game. Another early advantage game with the skirmishing that Ruddy have become so famous for in the NLC starting to pay off. Yones with a small incursion into the enemy jungle to just try and grab something. But he pays for it at a heavy price, a heavy tax on his health bar, but not quite his life. And now a game which has been close is starting to fall more in Ruddy's favour.
And these are those situations where we memed a little bit earlier on as Kirukin a little in trouble. Or is he?
Boxer here, gonna get thrown back, and Alaric gets the stun off. Oh! Big ulti coming through to take down the enemy jungler, and Blue-White still showing fight as much as they can. Nata having to cleanse and flash away to escape. MKR having just invested the ultimate, isn't going to be able to use that to snipe down his opposite number, but that's another tower falling in the top side in favour of Ruddy, and Blue-White still yet to claim their first.
Those 6 grubs might look to do it mid lane. Nata fairly weak underneath that tier 1 turret, and with a Jinx as well, as we've highlighted. So it should go down. So in terms of value on the map for a single turret, MKR coming out on top, but the way that Ruddy being able to play around these side lanes, it's going to enable them by having a longer lane to play through. The Riv and the Yone are going to be much more comfortable. The more these side lane turrets get taken down, they have a longer lane to chase through. They have more chances to take those fights versus a potentially overextended Costum. But look, so whoever goes there has now got to be even more careful.
I think that an important thing to highlight, right, is so often we look at a team taking mid lane tower and us go, okay, now they can open up the map, now they can start to play a little bit more. But because of the specific map state that Blue-Whites find themselves in, with top tier 1 down, with bot tier 1 down, and going up against 2 incredibly strong split push laners, it's actually quite difficult for them to assert themselves as much as they would like to onto Ruddy. MKR getting asserted on in the mid lane. Nothing that he can do, as it's kill number 3 for Nata.
Yeah, somebody needs to start warding that Raptor brush away from Alaric. That's the second time that we've seen on camera a successful flash/hex flash play into the mid lane. Unfortunate that this time it's MKR that falls flat, as Built with a good trade down on that bot side. Has the Black Cleaver finished already? Tiamat to get some nice animation cancels going also. Now we're going to have to wait and see how long Volux can sustain in this side lane, because this is beginning to be the timer where Built is going to start to take over.
And we talk about timers, we talk about ticking timers, right? That Infernal Soul that Ruddy are going to be playing towards with those first dragons taken. We've got dragon number 3 spawning in 30 seconds. Resets coming through from the red side team, as powered up as they can be for this objective. Nata on 2 items, Alex on 2 items, Built on 2 items, matched in some respects by their opponents, but if he is getting chucked out like this, I'm not sure that Blue-Whites can steal this dragon away. Costum now engaged on by Alaric, but a very well-timed keeper's verdict keeps the mid laner alive.
Yeah, he gets there, had the 3-pronged thought process. Okay, I'll channel the ulti to get rid of Built. Actually, I'm out, never mind. And then all of a sudden saves
Alaric gonna get exploded by the unleashed power. Alex still pushing in the side lane, so Ruddy emphatically outnumbered. Built gonna flash over the wall, but Veloxa looking for the chase. Another dash. He's gonna get the Riven away, so Blue-Whites able to stop the dragon stacking, but it's not without cost. Even more gold going into the hands of Alex on the side lane.
This is a conscious choice from Ruddy, respecting that Alaric going down is they're absolutely not fighting. Alex had teleport that entire time, might have been able to make the difference in a 4 versus 5 with how strong he is, as Nata in a little trouble, but...
I think Veloxa might be in a little trouble, just about dodges away from the Fate Sealed, as that Immortal Shield bow preventing any further aggression coming out from Blue-Whites. I'm liking this from Ruddy, that they've constantly been looking into this topside jungle, trying to exert themselves, trying to put pressure onto Blue-Whites, but Egots doesn't seem to care at all. Custom flashing for the scatter, but only finding Nata. Veloxa going to be able to go over the wall in just a moment's time, has the Mega. Looking for the Nars. Built is going to be chased down. He gets on the other side. They're able to take out Alaric. Both supports off the rift. The jungler off the rift as Built gets thrown back into Blue-White. Veloxa, what are you doing, my man? Ruddy take over around the Baron and wipe out Blue-White.
And it was Blue-Whites that started that charge, but Ruddy the ones who put a stop to it. They will claim the Baron as their prize, and cement their chances in this game. 20 minutes and 20 seconds and the Baron goes down.
5 minutes ago, this was an even League of Legends game. 20 minutes though, Ruddy in full control. Credit needs to be given for Blue Whites. They have attempted, they have tried, they have thrown themselves into the meat grinder of Ruddy. But the meat grinder has done what it always seems to do. Skirmish, outfight, find advantages, and Ruddy look like they're going to be keeping a hold of their possession of first place.
And I want to give another shout out to the support for Ruddy. We talked about their early game moves, Alaric, but it needs to be emphasized once again how he set up every single lane for success in the early game. And now we're seeing that be paid back. Bill is popping off in these team fights. Alex, exceptional on the One again. But this lead, the advantage that these solo laners had, would not have been as far ahead, not as strong, without the early roams from Alaric.
I'll tell you what though, this is looking a heck of a lot better for Bill as a Riven game than the last time.
Definitely. Maybe, you know, the reason it was mandated last time was because as one single game, it was a bit shaky. This time it's because it's going to start drawing bans again.
Okay, that's what I'd like to see. We haven't seen too much focus on the Riven in terms of the pick round phase. It wasn't really something that the teams feared, and
here we
we're
go.
going to be seeing
Another
a little bit more of that fear. Now engage coming out from Ruddy. Egetz with his last breath knocks 2 members to safety. This tower on the bottom lane, the last tier 2 that Ruddy are going to be looking to take down. That cannon minion gonna wail on it as Custom stood in defense.
But I mean, with all the attention they turned to the bot side, top lane's crashed into the turret, mid lane as well, a little bit extra, and now Custom's in trouble.
Yeah, and once again, it's Alaric setting up these plays, and it's Alex benefiting from them. That inhib tower is not long for the world as Ruddy continue to split the map, continue to pull Blue Whites apart.
Yeah, now they try another fight onto Egetz. Nice chunk. Alex is there though!
Oh my god, every single time! The ultimate's just absolutely lethal from this Ruddy man in the Ruddy mid lane. Alaric looking for a little bit more as he's going to be diving under the tower to take out the Loxa. And Ruddy make this game look like it was never close. 4 corpses on the side of Blue Whites. The respawn started to come through. The towers dropping down in the face of Ruddy. And it's win number 6 for the lads from London, for the lads from Ruddy.
And try as they might, Blue Whites not able to find their first win. A valiant effort the first 15 minutes, right up until the 20-minute Baron. They looked competitive, a very real world where they could have taken a game off of Ruddy. However, the final fight that put the nail in the coffin was one that Ruddy were more than happy to put and hammer home themselves.
It feels like almost the G2 effect in some way, Rude Dude. Doesn't matter what happens early game, doesn't necessarily what happens. I mean, did we even reach mid game at that point? Because at the end of the day, only one Nexus is going to explode, and that tends to be the opponent of Ruddy's. Exceptional performance from those guys as they start off their second round robin with a win. Blimey, that was quite a game.
That was quite a game. Fortunately, we have got 3 more. So what we're going to do, cut it to a break, give it to the analyst desk, and they'll prep us for the next ones.
Break it down, step on the gas, let's get out of town. We're gonna break out and have some fun. We're gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we want, we go